Some works of art inspire admiration, others unease. But a select few go beyond simple discomfort into the realm of the cursed, a masterpiece that has hung in the halls of academia for over a century, a painting so unsettling that students refuse to sit before it. A canvas whispered to drive viewers to madness and even death. But what is it about this painting that evokes such fear? Tonight, we investigate the legend of Sir Edwin Landseer's painting. Man proposes and God disposes. And ask the question, can a painting truly be cursed? The year is 1864. British painter and sculptor Sir Edwin Landseer unveils a painting unlike any he had created before. Known for his romanticised depictions of nature, Landseer was a master of capturing animals in stunning realism. But Man Proposes and God Disposes is different, unsettling, even grotesque. At first glance, it is a striking piece, an icy wasteland, the remnants of an ill-fated expedition, two monstrous polar bears tearing through the wreckage. But then you look closer, bone fragments, tattered fabric, an air of finality that seeps from the canvas. This is not just a scene of nature's brutality. It is a chilling retelling of one of Britain's greatest tragedies, the doomed Franklin expedition. Before we return to the painting's chilling legacy, we must first descend into the frozen abyss of the Franklin expedition itself. Because what happened to those men, those doomed souls trapped in the Arctic, was a horror story in its own right. But it began with hope. In 1845, Sir John Franklin, a seasoned Arctic explorer, set sail from England with 128 men aboard two of the most technologically advanced ships of the time, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. Their mission? To navigate and claim the last uncharted section of the Northwest Passage, a route that would link the Atlantic and Pacific through the icy labyrinth of northern Canada. The British Empire saw this journey as destiny, an act of conquest over nature itself. Alas, the Arctic had other plans. The expedition was well provisioned, canned food, reinforced hulls, coal-powered heating. They were prepared, or so they thought. But in September 1846, disaster struck. The ships became trapped in thick sea ice near King William Island. They would never sail again. For nearly 2 years, the crew remained stranded. At first, they followed strict naval discipline. Daily rations, scientific records, morale-boosting theatrics. But as supplies dwindled and the Arctic winter dragged on, hope faded. Their canned food, tainted with lead from poor soldering, slowly poisoned them. The men began to change. Weakness, confusion, erratic behaviour, hallucinations. The cold gnawed at their bones, and starvation clawed at their stomachs. By 1848, Franklin himself was dead. His remaining officers made a desperate decision: abandon the ships and march south towards civilization. 100 men, hauling sledges filled with whatever supplies they could carry. But the Arctic is merciless. The survivors marched into a white void, a landscape without mercy. Frostbite devoured their fingers. Starvation reduced them to walking corpses. And then, the final horror: cannibalism. Scattered bones found by later search teams told the grim tale. Some cracked open, marrow sucked dry. The Royal Navy denied it at first, unwilling to accept that proud British sailors had resorted to such acts. But forensic analysis confirmed the truth. In their final, desperate days, the men of the Franklin expedition fed on one another to survive. The last recorded survivor was found beside a boat, his skeletal fingers clutched around a loaded musket as if fending off an unseen enemy. But there was no enemy left. Just silence. Just ice. Decades later, Inuit hunters recounted eerie encounters. Strange, gaunt figures wandering the ice, long after the men should have perished. They spoke of restless spirits, of cursed places where even the bravest would not tread. The Franklin expedition had vanished, but something of them remained. It is this very horror, the futility, the madness, the consuming hunger that Landseer's painting captures. Those monstrous polar bears are not just scavengers of the dead. They are symbols of an expedition swallowed whole by nature itself. And for those who believe in curses, they ask, did the terror of the Franklin men seep into the paint itself? The painting found its home at Royal Holloway, University of London, where it loomed over students in the ornate picture gallery. And this is where the whispers of its curse began. Students reported a terrible, almost oppressive feeling when sitting beneath it, like being watched or scrutinised. Some swore that the eyes of the polar bears moved when no one was looking. Others claimed to hear whispers, a quiet voice just beyond the edge of understanding. But then, the unthinkable happened. One fateful exam day, a student took their own life in the gallery, right beneath the painting. Some say they left behind a chilling note, stating simply, "The bears made me do it." The university, unwilling to fan the flames of superstition, dismissed the incident, but the stories persisted. More students began reporting overwhelming dread, anxiety, an unnatural sensation of being drawn into the painting's icy void. Some refused to sit in the room at all. Eventually, the university took action. Each year, during exams, the painting is covered by a large Union flag. Even today, it remains hidden during testing season, as if shielding students from something unseen. So, is the painting truly cursed? Or is there a scientific explanation for the terror it inspires? One possibility lies in the phenomenon of scopophobia, the fear of being watched. Some researchers believe that certain compositions, particularly those with piercing eyes or unsettling symmetry, can trigger a primal discomfort in the brain. Landseer's painting, with its stark, almost unnatural realism and the ferocity of the bears, may be activating this psychological response. Another theory, the power of suggestion. When a story is repeated often enough, our minds begin to believe it. Students, already under immense stress, enter the hall primed with the idea that something is wrong, and so they feel it. Anxiety feeds into paranoia, and paranoia into genuine distress. But then there are the accounts that defy psychology. The whispers. The figures moving in the periphery of vision. The overwhelming dread that seasoned skeptics have described when standing before the canvas. Can art truly hold energy? Can a moment of horror, like the fate of the Franklin expedition, somehow bleed into a painting? leaving behind an imprint that lingers long after the artist's brush has dried. The painting still hangs at Royal Holloway. Students still tell stories of its presence. And every exam season, the flag is still draped over its frame. Some claim this is tradition. Others whisper that it's necessity. But one thing is certain. Few who stand before Landseer's painting leave without feeling something. So what do you believe? A simple work of art? A psychological trick of the mind? Or a lingering presence from a tragedy frozen in time? One thing is clear, some mysteries can't be ignored. And some paintings should never be left uncovered. Thank you for joining me on this unsettling journey through history and mystery. If you enjoyed this case, be sure to subscribe. Every week, I peel back the layers of the strange, the unexplained, and the downright chilling. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and remember, the unusual is often hiding in plain sight.